Raise your hand if you've ever been betrayed by a friend and then lost that friend, but it was a difficult process. I can't believe that I'm saying this, but I think we might actually have a lesson to take from Trisha Paytas. I know! I'm not kidding. This is groundbreaking. But if you're skeptical, just give it a few minutes of the video and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But first, I feel like I have to give a little bit of background here for you guys that aren't up to date on Colleen Ballinger and Trisha Paytas. Jesus Christ. So Trisha Paytas is a person that has been around since the dawn of the internet. I cannot remember a time that I was not seeing this woman's face. Over the past decade, she has been a menace and a controversial figure.
When Obama got into office, like, it kind of reminded me of the things I did remember about Hitler.
That was really bad.
Trisha has had scandals that I thought she would never recover from. But in fact, she taught us a new model where if you have so many scandals and all of them are so bad, depending on your moral compass, people will eventually be like, well, that's too much to remember. I guess we'll just see what she's doing now. Which is really what happened. If you look at her TikTok or you look at comments or anything on her YouTube channels, it's like, wait, did that not happen? I feel like I get gaslit by Trisha Paytas' own community. But something that's happened in the past year is Trisha got married and she also had a baby, and apparently she's been doing a lot of work on her mental health. Now, I will say this, a lot of the stuff that Trisha has done is crazy.
Hitler can't be all bad if he had this big following, right?
I have seen many people change after they have a child. I have seen full-blown alcoholics quit drinking. I've seen men suddenly become family men. I don't know.
I see miracles every day.
I don't have a baby. I don't know what it is, but y'all really be changing once you're like, wow, I have a little tiny version of me that really needs my help, and it's kind of like me.
My little boy looks just like daddy.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But based off the video I'm going to show you, I feel like Trisha has had some kind of growth in her mental health, and I urge you to at least give this video a little bit of a chance. On the other hand, Colleen Ballinger had what I would actually describe as a pretty squeaky clean reputation in YouTube over the past 10 years. Until recently. A lot of unsavory activity that she had with her fans, as well as ways that she portrayed her character online. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but the whole premise of the Miranda Sings character is essentially a disabled girl that has some kind of relationship with her uncle. And all of us were sitting here with these videos getting millions of views and nobody noticed because her audience was predominantly children. And here's an adult saying like, this is not only fine, but it's funny. A little weird, right? She went through years completely unscathed in the YouTube community with nobody really noticing this activity, but what essentially happened was her inappropriate relationship with fans are what brought the whole history to light. And now what has mostly exploded in the past couple of weeks, as I'm sure many of you have noticed, is her theater kid apology to very, very serious accusations.
No,
Yeah. When I saw the thumbnail and she pulled out that ukulele, I almost called the police. Just a disclaimer for some of you guys, we know that this kind of started about 2 years ago when people first started talking about it, but it's just really exploded recently. Just a few weeks ago, Trisha Paytas and Colleen Ballinger came together to start a podcast. It's interesting because it was very reminiscent of Frenemies, but it's probably because Trisha Paytas had a lot of creative control and she likes to dress up as funny little characters. I don't even think they made it through 2 episodes before the podcast was essentially canceled because of Colleen's allegations. Seems like behind the scenes, as you'll hear in this video, Trisha and Colleen tried to talk about the issue, but Colleen lied to her face. It's an interesting video because I saw the beginning of it and Trisha is able to articulate almost unselfishly the betrayal she felt, how this affected her, how it affected her community, how it affects her career moving forward. She empathizes with the victims that had their trust broken by Colleen. And what's shocking about it is, in my opinion, it feels very selfless as Trisha is talking through this, which I didn't expect. Look, I'm gonna tell you, I didn't expect it from her. I didn't expect it from her, but that's what's happening. And what I also thought was really interesting about this is the way that she processes the way her friend and coworker betrayed her, what she intends to do moving forward, And she releases a lot of anger while also accepting the understanding that she's been hurt. She doesn't need to continue to have conversations with these people, and it's time to close the door. This isn't something that's always easy to do when you've been betrayed by a friend, because so many of us want to give them a million chances and we want to believe them. And what's really shocking in this is about halfway through, Trisha discusses how Colleen lied to her face when confronted about information of the betrayal. You and I have been through this before. Think back. You probably don't have to think back too far because it's still fresh in your mind, huh? When somebody f***ed you over and you went up to them and you had the balls, you had the gall to say, hey, did you do this? And they lied to you and you don't really know what to do next. Trisha talks about that. I think it's really interesting.
So this is a video that I really did not want to make. And I feel like the past few years, I've really taken a step back from having to comment on everything, having to respond to everything said about me on the internet, because at the end of the day, it just gets really exhausting. And then, of course, being in other people's business, even if I have strong opinions about it, I really decided years ago that it wasn't good for my mental health.
That's a big change from the Trisha Paytas that we've known from 10 years ago. If you guys have been familiar with the online space, Trisha would not hesitate to upload a video on anybody, drag anybody, do anything, put herself into it. And now she said, which I think is commendable. I used to do that a lot. I don't really know why, but I've decided it's exhausting and I don't anymore because I'm putting myself first, my mental health first for my child, and I just don't do that anymore. But I'm tied to this, so I am gonna comment on it.
Being known as the person who's just always in drama and can't keep friendships, it's not a good look. I've worked really hard the past couple of years to kind of just stay in my own lane.
Can you believe that she just said that? Like, Trisha Paytas just said that. And honestly, it seems like she's changed a lot. And I think that that's fascinating. And if anything, if you're somebody that has absolutely hated Trisha over the years, at least maybe this means that people can change somehow.
I'm putting my own hurt feelings aside, and my feelings are very hurt. I've had a sick to my stomach feeling for a while now, and today especially. Me and Colleen started a podcast this year, 3 episodes.
Damn, they only made it 3 episodes.
Before. I think it shocked a lot of people because oh, I didn't know they were close friends like that. And the thing is we weren't close friends. We were friends. I considered us to be friendly. When I had my daughter, she reached out and I thought, oh, it's great to have mom friends and, friends, who have kids.
Trisha says here, the way that the podcast came about was she had her daughter, she's taking a break from everything, but somehow Colleen, who has been in the industry with her for the past decade, reaches out, they both have a child, they have something in common, and they connect, and thus the show was born because Trisha's not really doing much else, and she'd love to do a podcast.
I thought this podcast would be great because we always got along really great when we would see each other.
Oh no!
I wasn't aware of these most recent things that are coming out. Everyone knows I have a very, very, very firm stance on talking to anyone underage, platonic or not. I've always been very, very firm.
Trisha has said in the past that she was taken advantage of multiple times by authority figures when she was younger. And I mean, this she's talked about this so many times. I believe it.
I remember one time there was a very popular YouTuber who was 17 and another YouTuber I was friends with wanted to bring her to my apartment. I said, absolutely not. I'm like, she has to just stay in the car. I have a lot of trauma when it comes to my relationships I had when I was underage.
I also want to say this draws a clear moral line between Trisha and Colleen. Trisha literally says that back in the day, a very popular YouTuber had come around her house, but she was 17. And Trisha said, absolutely not. She's not coming in the house. Meanwhile, Colleen is happy to text with younger fans, which that'll come up in a minute. I'm not gonna lie, that shit was crazy. In group chats with the fans, video chatting with essentially the children. And so I believe that Trisha really thinks this is fucking weird. This is something that she's like, I did not engage in and I didn't know.
So when all this came out, I was shocked. The group chats and stuff, I was kind of shocked. And it's such a difficult thing because Colleen is someone that I quickly, literally in the past month that we did this podcast, I really, really cared about and really related to. I thought, well, she told me she'd get canceled here and there. And she kind of understood when people would come for her for working with me, you know, because I've done stuff in my past that's not cool by today's standards, you know?
Yeah, the John Bonet thing was weird, sister.
I think everyone can
was
take accountability and grow. Like, I really do think people can like change their ways and stuff like that. If you can acknowledge it. Her video came out and I was just shocked, to say the least, that she didn't at least acknowledge the stuff that her own fans were.
Do you remember where you were when you first saw the Colleen apology video? In the world of people that were up to date on all of that, we were all shocked. Now I need you to take a minute and imagine how Colleen Ballinger's co-host Trisha felt when she saw her pull out the ukulele.
The toxic gossip train.
God, I would not want to be Trisha that day.
To kind of brush it over in the way she did, and, you know, ultimately became like memes, and now it becomes somewhat lighthearted, even though it's not a lighthearted issue. I was shocked, and she sent me the link to her video, her apology video, and I didn't respond back to it because I was just...
Colleen never told Trisha, you know, she's doing this they're like clearly not talking that much. Like they're like not friends. She didn't update her on anything, didn't say, hey, I think I'm gonna respond today. She just sent her the link and it was her playing the ukulele. We'll never forget.
Because again, I know what it feels like to have the whole internet come down on you, even if the whole internet is right. Like, I'm someone, again, who struggles with mental health issues, mental illness.
That's another thing I want to point out. Trisha says here that I know how it can feel when the whole internet comes down on you, even when the internet is right. It makes me feel as though Trisha has reflected on some of her own behavior and realized she was in the wrong. And even though it sucked that everyone came down on her, maybe she felt like, okay, I screwed up. Like, this makes sense. But she's also attributing this to Colleen. She's saying, Colleen, the internet's in the right. What are you doing? I cannot believe I'm giving Trisha this many props, but I have to. I want to once again reiterate, I'm not stoked on giving Trisha Paytas the props, but I'm really excited to be giving the behaviors that she's exhibiting the props. Throughout this, she's acknowledging that she struggles with mental health, but in no way through her phrasing have I felt like she has used that as an excuse. She reminds you that she struggles with emotional regulation. She reminds you that she struggles with being triggered easily. But she makes these small statements that make it very obvious she's taking accountability. And I don't hear an "oh, pity me" in it. And as much as some of you may hate Trisha, I think that that's something that all of us could take on in our lives, because that's what the internet is asking for all the time in a scandal. Tell us what you're going through. Tell us why you did it. Take the accountability for it. Apologize and say what you're going to change doing, like moving forward. I'm really impressed by how it's subtly coming out. Some of you guys may completely disagree. That's totally okay. But right now, I do want to highlight that because we don't see it that often. And when we do see an example of it, you should pay attention. Apple Bottom G's, great name, said, I'll give her a crumb of credit. I love that. You don't really want to, and you're a harsh critic, but you can't help but acknowledge a little bit of what's going on. And you giving that crumb when some people refuse to listen. I don't know. I like that. Give them the crumb, and you can take back the crumb anytime you want. Remember that.
And I hate putting any energy into this, but it's very, very serious. It's very serious. And It's a topic I don't take lightly and I can't take lightly.
There were so many reasons why Colleen's response was shocking, ridiculous, disturbing, confusing. But one thing that I think is really interesting is Trisha mentions multiple times the allegations are serious. Like, even if you don't think that they're true or not, you still have to regard them as such. These wouldn't stick to you, even in the slightest, if there wasn't some truth to it that you need to acknowledge. And what Colleen did was make it into a theatrical musical song, which shows she doesn't take it seriously. Man, I still can't wrap my head around that, because y'all know I used to do PR from people, and I thought I was about to have a heart attack when I was That's me. That was a live reaction to me seeing the Colleen ukulele video. This isn't even Trisha's issue, and she gives more accountability to the weight of what is going on than Colleen herself, who is involved.
we already have a lot of stigma, misconceptions, allegations against us as sex workers. And so I need to nip this in the bud that I do not condone at all unsolicited nudes, sending unsolicited nudes to anyone of anybody.
This is where it gets
sex
crazy.
worker or not. I think using someone's nudes as a way to hurt them, make fun of them, make light of them, be mean is the lowest form of human, the lowest form of intelligence. I think that's so inhumane. I think that's
It's about to get
so
crazy,
disgusting
y'all.
for anyone. The text messages were shown, and it's very clearly from Colleen to a fan.
Oh.
Has over 500,000 views on Twitter. I'm not embarrassed I'm embarrassed for her.
Wow. Okay, we're gonna come right back to that line. Trisha says, I'm not embarrassed by these photos. I'm embarrassed for her. So if you're not caught up, so far, the fan, our protagonist in the story that has just really gone forward to bring all this stuff to light is a kid named Adam. And Adam's put out a lot of videos about them. Some of them are like longer in form, so I don't think a lot of people have sat down and listened to a lot of these details. But in the middle of one video that I think was like over 50 minutes, maybe an hour long or something, he details a situation where he says, I am so sorry that Trisha Paytas has to find this out, and I'm so sorry that I participated, but Colleen used to send me Trisha's nudes when I was a minor and make fun of Trisha's body to me. I heard that, and I was like, what? And he says it in the video, but it doesn't pick up too much traction. And once again, Adam is apologizing that he participated in this, but, he's a kid, and his biggest celebrity idol, Colleen, is like basically saying, hey, this is okay, this is funny, it's not a big deal. She's on OnlyFans, she uploaded these herself, this is fine. I believe that this was happening in 2019. So this was, 4.5 years ago? I can't really speak to Adam's age right then at the time, like whether he's 16, 17, 18, or 19. Honestly, it's fucked up. And then years later, like Colleen comes back around and is like, hey girl, let's do a podcast together. Kind of weird, right? So this was just kind of out there for a minute. But then what ends up happening is another person that used to work for Colleen went back into their iMessages on their computer and took photos of Colleen sending the same naked pictures to them. Like, she was making fun of Trisha's body to multiple people that were her fans. She probably was doing this with other YouTubers too. I mean, come on. But she just thought it was so hilarious that she's gonna send it to... That's a lot, right? It's a lot. This is where the betrayal comes in. Trisha is working with this woman. She has a podcast with her. They're 2 or 3 episodes in, they have all these ideas. They've put all this work into creating the company, the branding, the production, finding the right partners, everything. She is in business with this woman. And now she's finding out that only just a couple years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, she was making fun of her body to her fans. That's gonna make Trisha feel like, oh my God, like, am I dumb? Should I have known? How long has this been going on? I'm sure you've felt those feelings too when you were betrayed. And then those feelings feel so bad that you try to talk yourself out of them. Maybe you're the type of person that blames yourself and thinks, did I do something wrong? Or maybe you try to reason with the person that's betrayed you and say, this can't be true. And then comes the opportunity for this person to betray you again if they lie to you.
I wouldn't be humiliated for the person in the photos. I'd be humiliated for the person who sent them.
Yes, girl. Yes. Look, this is one thing that I love too, okay? If you're ever a person that has had your nudes shared, you sent them to somebody that you trust, the next thing you know, they're either on the internet or people in your school are passing them around or something. It is so embarrassing, especially as a woman. And this happens to guys too, okay? Dudes somehow somebody gets a picture of their dick, next thing you know, they're blackmailing them, all this stuff. They did a whole Black Mirror episode on it, okay? This happens to people all the time. But what I love here, I really love it. What Trish is saying that's really powerful is, I'm not embarrassed. It's more embarrassing for the person that sent the photos. And she said, I'm very embarrassed for Colleen. That's kind of case. That's because so many of us, we feel so vulnerable. We feel so violated. For her to get up and say, that's on you, bitch. I don't know. I like it.
I don't get the purpose. I don't know if there was an inside joke I'm missing on this. The fan said, hey, congratulations on becoming parents, which a month later she just responds with a nude of me and says, "You look so pretty in this." And these weren't a long time ago. This is someone well into their 30s just gave birth sending nudes. And a month prior, I was in her house meeting her child and doing
Oh my
God!
That is so weird. Girl, I can't. She was in Colleen's house hanging out with the baby. And just right before that, Colleen was making fun of her body to who knows who. Look, here's the other thing, because I know I keep harping on this, but I can't get over it. Y'all, my trigger is betrayal, okay? If you're triggered by betrayal or you just have an extreme hurt or dysphoria when it comes to being betrayed, we end up developing these defense mechanisms to avoid betrayal at all costs because it's too painful. The same thing happens with abandonment. If you're terrified of abandonment, you may not even know that you're terrified of abandonment. You might just avoid any perceived abandonment at all costs. And obviously this goes with a lot of different things. And look, me, if I was betrayed right now, even though I have been through so much therapy, so much, I'd be on the floor right now, y'all. I'd be crying, screaming, shitting. I don't know what I'd be doing, but I would not be sitting up here calmly like this. It's shocking to me that she can go through such a public and humiliating betrayal and sit here and talk about it. This is therapy, folks.
They showed the viewing parties that were talked about to make fun of me. They did viewing parties of my adult content to make fun of me. And
oh my God. She had no idea and she was working with her.
And it wasn't just one occasion. There was multiple times that she sent just different photos and different positions of me. I did ask her about these a couple weeks ago before there was the proof, so to speak, right?
Oh my God. Have a seat, everybody.
And she assured me that she had never sent photos of me, that this one fan who was underage at the time would send photos to her. She's like, no, he was a fan. He sent photos to me and he was obsessed with you. And he would just send me it. And once in a while, I'd respond to him and be like, hey, okay. That's what she told me a couple weeks ago.
When Trisha hears that Colleen used to make fun of her body by sending photos of her to multiple people, even hosting viewing parties with her friends, making fun of Trisha's body, Trisha still wants to give Colleen the benefit of the doubt. And I know this because she asked her. She said, is this true? That's giving the benefit of the doubt, right? Have you done that before? And Colleen said to her, no, I never did that. This fan is crazy. They're lying. They're obsessed with me. And oh, I remember, he was obsessed with you too. He would send me the photos of you. It was him sending those pictures, not me. I didn't know what to say. It was horrible, Trisha. It was horrible. And Trisha, who's been online for a long time and knows that, people can be aggressive or maybe make stuff up or something, she says, okay, Colleen, I believe you. And then once again, Trisha is essentially publicly humiliated because the screen caps come out on Twitter. I gotta be honest, it was really heartbreaking because there were so many screen caps, multiple days, multiple weeks. It was like she was stalking Trisha's OnlyFans and just sending the pictures to people. I couldn't wrap my head around it. People posing in front of the photos with Trisha, sending it to Colleen because, making fun of Trisha makes Colleen happy. It makes you connect with her. They were genuinely really, 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 really upsetting. Colleen lied to her. She tried to confront her, give her the benefit of the doubt, and she said, that never happened. Everyone's crazy. Listen to me. And she believed her, and then the proof came out. Girl, I would not be okay right now. I would not be responding like this right now.
Being as I was her friend and I knew her as a person, I was trusting her, I guess.
It's easy to be taken advantage of when you're a person that trusts others more than you trust yourself. This is especially evident when you were a child If you occasionally, like, you know, made mistakes and a parent hammered into you that this was your fault, you can't do anything right. I'm not going to keep going with the dialogue of it because some of you guys just might get triggered, like, back in your childhood. It might also happen when you have a parent that wants you to be solely dependent on them, so they don't really ever let you do anything yourself. And anytime you try to do something for yourself, they feel like you're taking away from their role as a parent, so they stop you from doing it, right? So then in turn, you might become an adult that doesn't necessarily have this trust of yourself. And of course, it can come up with a lot of different reasons. So Trisha says that she's a person that will sometimes trust the people around her more than herself. If you're one of those people, you got to learn to protect yourself. You got to learn to trust yourself a little bit.
So there was two options there for her to say, like, yeah, that was a while ago. I was a hater. I mean, I'm the first to say, like, I've definitely have been a hater in the past. I've been miserable in my own life. I've been going through shit in my own life in the past. And I was miserable and I hated on people, for sure.
Yeah.
Not people that I would go and, like, be at their house and, like, do a whole podcast with, but sure, I can understand people, you know.
There's so much to take out of this video. So here, Trisha is even saying, and I believe this, she says that if Colleen had just said when confronted with this, okay, yeah, I was a hater back then. I was a hater. I was a piece of shit. Like, and I'm sorry. Yeah, I did that. You know, if you don't want to talk to me anymore, I understand, but I'll take accountability for it and move on. And Trisha's saying, you know, if she had said this, I could have looked past it. She was like, because, you know, I've done this in the past too, but, you know, I'm not inviting people over to my house and doing a whole podcast with them, inviting them over to meet my baby. Like, she's realizing, wait, would I have accepted that? How do y'all feel so far after seeing this video with Trisha? Does it seem like she's changed, or maybe she's like done some stuff that some people find complete. In fact, I was about to say unforgivable. You don't have to forgive anybody. Fuck that. Don't forgive them. But if you don't think that this isn't a slightly different person, I'm just saying, I'm surprised. But wait, who said that? I gotta give you credit for that. Hold on. Someone said, that's not Trisha. That's Patricia. Patricia!
We've talked crap about me, that's fine. We weren't that close back then, I guess, like, you know, whatever. And she vehemently denied, no, I never sent pictures of you. Like, the underage fan would send me pictures of you, not specifying if they were nude or not.
This is also very new for Trisha. Patricia, excuse me. Yeah, this is Patricia now. She pauses when she's speaking or thinking or processing something. She never used to do this. The kitchen floor videos were, you know, everything was a soundboard. And now she's pausing and she's letting things sink in and she's processing and she's really taking a moment before she says the next thing. I think that is another sign of the growth.
My heart was racing, my stomach, I was sick to my stomach. And I don't know, I guess seeing stuff like that, that's probably the worst I've seen from someone that I've, like, considered a friend. Like,
Man.
It's pretty barbaric.
She's saying this is one of the worst betrayals. Wow.
And it is downright cruel. It's a low level of a person to say that stuff. And again, this isn't years ago. This is, you know, someone well into their 30s. It's not a child. It's not a Kim. As of now, as of recording this, the text came out and the minor fan, who is now an adult, has said that those same pictures were sent to him. This is all alleged, as I haven't seen anything. So I don't want to. I just want to put this out ahead of anything. I know there's every day something coming out, and seeing that text from the Huffington Post, I'm like, okay, let me just get ahead of this. I am so sorry to that person if this is true. I'm so sorry. I know firsthand how traumatizing that can be. I had nothing to do with this. I do not condone it. I think it's the most disgusting thing, and above all else, illegal.
She said, cut the bridge, burn it down. Granted, she's not trying to speak on Colleen's behalf or defend her or anything, but she is apologizing and literally taking more accountability as a co-host of Colleen's than Colleen even did. Girl, how gonna let Patricia Paytas farm a redemption character arc off of you?
A grown woman in their 30s doing this to someone who is in their house, been around their family, like, you have some issues. It's a sickness. This is really wrong. This is really gross. And it's also unsolicited nudes. No one was asking for this. I don't know the inside joke. She said they're taken out of context. I don't know what the viewing parties or your friend posing next to them are like.
Oh my God, that little breath just made me so sad. I know I keep saying it. You don't have to like Trisha Paytas. You also don't even have to like Patricia Paytas 2023. But if you can respect her response more than Colleen, I mean, that's saying something, okay?
I had to make this video to say I don't stand behind Colleen whatsoever.
Yes, Kenzie, this is unedited. It's unscripted. I don't think she has a PR team. It's just raw. It's just raw.
And it took away from the severity of her actions of talking to minors, bringing minors on stage at her show. These people are speaking up and they're uncomfortable for a reason. Acknowledge it, change it, do better. But being told she never sent these photos, and these actually do exist, these text messages, I feel like super disrespected, and at least be honest about it to like show some accountability, to show like, yeah, that was stupid, that was immature, whatever. But I don't stand by her. I'm embarrassed to be associated with her.
Oh my God.
I'm embarrassed for the fans that she messaged those to. That's should never have happened.
The silence is loud. Loud.
And again, this really hurts sex workers as a whole. This is out there, and it looks like we're some deviants because this is used in this way. It's disgusting.
I think another thing that Trisha does really well through this, because, you know, we're on the topic of betrayal and, you know, getting through a betrayal in a friendship, is she acknowledges several times that she is hurt. And I want to ask you guys, when something really bad happens to you, do you say to yourself, I'm really, really, really hurt and I need some time? Or do some of y'all say, I'm fine. Oh, I'm good. No, I'm good. I'll be all right. Like, which one are you, right? And when we don't acknowledge to ourselves how much we've been hurt, then nobody takes care of us, right? Because you need to take care of yourself. When you're hurt, you either want to be taken care of by the people around you, or at least you need yourself to do it. And if you don't admit to yourself that you've been betrayed, you've been hurt, you were humiliated, you're just anything like that, then no one's going to take care of you. And you need to take care of yourself. And you deserve to take care of yourself. And you deserve to be taken care of. Okay? So just a reminder, it's okay to say, I'm fucking hurt, man. This hurt. It was bad. And this was really bad.
I'm not going to speak on this again. I will never speak on Colleen again.
Oh, she said, we're done.
She just does not exist to me anymore. And this is not me canceling her. She'll always be around. I'm sure she'll be fine. Just publicly disavowing any association I have with her.
Damn, bro.
Hey, everybody.
That was a frenemies video story. That transition was way too funny. This is the video that played next.
Hey, everybody.
Oh, that was loud too. Sorry. I forgot I boosted the volume. God, I'm the worst today. Once again, I want to remind you guys, you don't have to like Trisha Paytas. You can say she's the worst person in the entire world. That's totally fine. You can think or say whatever you want. I wanted to share that with you because this is a lot different than the person I've done videos on before. I've done videos on Trisha. I've talked about Trisha before because I'm like, whoa, what is going on here? I really do feel bad for her with that betrayal. I feel bad for her that people were having viewing parties with people making fun of her body. And I just feel bad that she was betrayed so publicly. But I do feel like I respect her response, and I think she handled it well. And that's my opinion.